ended up saying that she cannot sell, some of it she can't sell because of, Rav Meir says a woman can't be without a ksuba, but in fact she might be able to sell nichse malug. There were possibilities that she might be able to. Okay, so let's see where we're up to now. Let's see where we're up to. And then there's the issue that if she sells it, she'll be moichelet. So therefore, it's going to be mafsed everybody. So we are up to Vitanya Idich. I'm sorry, we're up to Lema Takonis Usha Tanoi. Let's suggest that this Takonis Usha, whether or not they made a takana that the husband should always get the nichse malug from his wife, and the wife cannot give it away, let's suggest that that is a machlokes to them. The Tani Chada, we had one brisa that said as follows: Avdei malug yoitzin b'shen va'ayin. Avdei malug. Now the halacha is if one has an eved kanani and he knocks out one of the Rosh Yevarim, typically we use shen or ayin as an example. The owner who knocks out the shen v'ayin now has to free his eved. So who is the owner of an eved of nichse malug? Is it the wife who has a kinyan guf, or is it the husband who has a kinyan peres? So it says Avdei malug yoitzin b'shen v'ayin leisha. If the wife knocks out the eye or the tooth of the eved, then the eved goes free, indicating that the wife is the owner of the eved. Avaloi leish, the kinyan peres that the ish has is not enough to say that he's an owner of it, and therefore, if he knocks out the shen v'ayin of the eved does not go free. But Tanya, we had another brisa that says loy leish v'loy leish, sai for the wife and sai for the husband. If they knock out a tooth of an eved, the eved will not go free. Svarua. So the initial assumption is the chula alma kinyan peres lafka kinyan gufta. Everybody agrees, Turish Lakish, which is how we paskin, that kinyan peres lafka kinyan gufta, meaning the husband does not have much of an ownership in it. He only has an ownership of kinyan peres, and it's his wife who has a kinyan. So if that's the case, the logic should be that the woman, if she knocks out the shen v'ayin, the eved should go free, but not the husband. So we need an explanation for the brisa that says loy leish v'loy leish. The mandam leisha, the mandam holds that it only goes to the isha is the boss. That's why she's going to knock out the eved's tooth. That eved will go free, but not the husband, because leslie takanas usha. They don't know the takanas usha. So therefore, the husband never had such a strong kinyan in it. The takanas usha is what gave the husband a great kinyan in these nechos. Umandam loy leish v'loy leisha, and the brisa that says neither the husband nor the wife will free the eved with shen v'ayin. They islay takanas usha. They hold off the takanas usha, and therefore it's not the wife's fully, and it's not the husband's fully. Neither one has enough ownership in it to be able to say they're the owner, and therefore if they knocked out the tooth of the eye, the eved would go free. Let's see Rashi. Let's assume both Tanaim agree that kinyan peres laf kinyan guf. Is the islay takanas usha. He holds of the takana of usha, and therefore the husband has a stronger kinyan in it than typical. He doesn't really own the actual eved. But the woman, if she knocks out the tooth of the eved, it won't go free either. The alim shibude lemahava kinyan, because the takanas usha gives him a strong kinyan. So neither one has the complete ownership of this eved, and therefore neither one would have to free the eved if they knocked out a shen v'ayin. Zok to Gemara loy. That's not pshat. It's not a machlokes of whether or not there's takanas usha, because the chula alma is lu takanas usha. Everybody agrees there is takanas usha. Ela kan kodim takana. The bride that it says that the wife who knocks out the tooth or eye makes eved go free was speaking before takanas usha, and kan la'achar takana. The bride that it says neither the ish nor the isha who knocks at a shein the ayin will allow the ever to go free is speaking le'achar takana. So Kashi Koidim Takana Habishabu they kill Kishar Kenyan payers. The Kimlon, the Laf Kina Guf Tami. But after the Kodesh Usha, that makes his Kenyan more robust. Or we have another option as to how to learn the machlokes between the two brises. EDVD Lachat Takana. They're both speaking Lachat Takana Usha. So then the second brise makes sense. Why is it that side the Isha and side the Isha will not have to free the Eved with Shem V'ayin? What's shot in the Bryce who says an Isha could free the Avid B'Shem V'ayin? The Itla the Konzusha. El Lamanda Amar Isha V'Layla Ish, my time could the Rava. Because of a whole new innovative Svara, the Svara of Rava. What is the Svara of Rava? We had this before. The Amar Rava turning on to Tzadik Amar Aleph. The Amar Rava, Hektish, Chametz, B'Shichwer, Mafkiyin, Midei Shiva. Yes, there's a big, strong shibud that the Takanas Usha gave to the husband. But when someone knocks out the eye, that's like shichur. And that's mafkiva de shibud. Thank you so much. So we know if somebody is owed money, so therefore there might be nechasim that are meshuvah to him so that he can collect from those nechasim, and the baal of the nechasim made him hektish, the shibud is gone because hektish trumps the shibud. So too, the Gemara is learning that when someone knocks out the shen v'ayim of an eved, that is a shichur, and therefore it trumps the takanas usha. So let's have a look at Rashi, because this is a very big sugya. How this works: hektish, chametz, v'shichur, mafkiyim midei shibud. So Zok Rashi hektish is also sharei apoytik ilabal chayim. You made your shar a designated object from which your Baal Choiv will collect from. The Chazar Loivazeh, then the Loiva took this animal, the Iktisha Kedushas Aguf Libizbeach. So Rashi tells us one very important clue. This is not a halacha if you're makdashit for Bedek Abayis. It's only a halacha that it's mafkir midei shibud if you made it into a carbon, you made it into Kedushas Aguf. Now it's not only a carbon. If you have a keli that's royu to be a klesharis, that would also be kedushas aguf. It just means you're not donating it for its money; it's not going to be redeemed. But you made the actual chayfetz kadosh. Therefore, v'kia shibude de malva, the shibud de malva now is gone. Umuter lemizbeach, this animal is a kosher carbon. Ve'ema b'shum gezel, it's not gezel. Shevach hektish mafkiyoi. I believe the Bach changes the wording here a little bit. Mishum gezel shekoyach hektish, right? Touch shvach. Shekoyach hektish mafkiyoi, the strength of hektish breaks that shibud. Hoya v'loy hoya kani loy mamish. Since this shore didn't actually belong to the malva, he just had a shibud on it. Elo oimid like voisimen. So Rashi speaks out the feish v'dafka kedushas aguf. Aval kedushas domim loy alimi lavkuye shibud milva. Toshvis agrees, although there are Rishonim who argue. The Tanan Moisef Malva oy dinner upoidis hanachosim. The Malva would have to poidis in the chosim. Ha'elu amanas l'shalom l'isha subasa. Okay, what's the case of chametz? Nachri shehelva es Yisrael al chemtzah. A Nachri lent money to a yid, and the yid put up his chametz as a mashkin, but the mashkin was still in the rishus of the Yisrael. He didn't actually hand it over to the guy. He actually kept the mashkin by him. But this food was designated, this chametz was designated that the malva would come collect from. He didn't actually give it to the guy, and therefore the mechusar gavaina, it's not collected yet. In other words, it's not yet in the rishus of the guy. The chametz was in the rishus of the yid. All the Nachri has is a shibud that he could collect from it should the loiva default. What happens if the time of beer chametz comes on the Erev Pesach? Mafkia Isra chametz is a shibud on Nachri. The Isra of chametz is mafkia, the shibud that the Nachri has, the chayiv Yisrael levayrei, and therefore the Yisrael has to be mevared the chametz.
Why can't he be magnum the place and then he can keep it? He is not going to have anything anyway from the chumbis.
He can also give it to him as well. But he did it, right? We're talking about here. Okay. That's Mukila Rav Hasan b'sheher ino yatzli. We actually gave it to the guy. Shenasnoi mashkin b'mashkin b'yad nachri the loy mechusha gavayna. Therefore, it's not a shivur anymore. It's a kniya mamash. And shechur is the same thing. Also, avda apoitiki. Someone made their evidence into an apoitiki, meaning it's designated that the mabul will collect from it. The shechur aloiva, and the loiva freed it. Mishuchwer, the evidence of mishuchwer. The goyve is zechayva mimakamacher, and he will have to collect from somewhere else. So therefore, the woman knocked out the eye of the Eved. We say the Eved goes free because that chiyuv to free the Eved is mafkia from the shivud of the Tekana Susha. Okay, the Baltic. I just want to take a quick look at the bottom Tosfos because again, where is the shikhr happening here? So Tosfos says hashta mashma the shikhr the shein ba'ayin mafkia midei shivud kamoy star shikhr. The shikhr of shein ba'ayin is just like a star shikhr, right? We're saying over here there was a shikhr here, and therefore it's mafkia midei shivud. Obviously, the fact that the person has to free the evet, if the person knocks out the shein ba'ayin, is equivalent to as if he wrote out a star shikhr.
Right, actual star shikhr.
Yeah, that might not be for the moment. That might have to be for the Easter. There's a lot of Torah on exactly what has to happen. That's a good order. Okay, gewaltig. So that's what I wanted to point out, that we're considering the knocking out of the Shem Vayin as a shikh. That's why it's relevant to Rava's halach. So it's a very innovative halach. So Zok to Gemara, are you telling me Lemo the Rava Tanoihi? Now what you're trying to say is the Brisa that holds that the Isha is Meshachar the Eved if she knocks out the Shem Vayin, that's going to go to Rava. The Brisa that says side the Isha, side the Isha, don't have to free the Eved if they knock out the Shem Vayin. I mean, that Brisa is arguing Rava. Is Rava subject to Machlokes Tanoim? Zok more loy. The Chulama is to the Rava. Everybody holds of this halach of Rava, the hektish, chametz v'shikhr is mafkia midei shivud. V'hacha almua rabbanon l'shibuda dabal. The Torah, not the Torah, the Tekana Susha. This Brisa holds that the Tekana Susha is so strong, it trumps Rava as well. It trumps Rava as well. It makes the shivud of the Baal so strong that even the shikhr will not be moiti. Kavaltik. So I just wanted to add one more thing. It's not only hektish that's mafkiya midei shivud. There's kainamos. There's other isurim that will also be mafkiya midei shivud.
It was also hektish, no?
It's like hektish. That's right. Okay, yeah. So that, but even the kainim would do it. Okay, let's see the Gemara Vayter. So now we have a machlokes. Do you say like Rava? Or do you say, even if you hold like Rava, that heck, the Shchamet, the Shechim, of Kidei Shivud, maybe the Shivud of the Constitution is so strong that it doesn't even get nullified with a heck, the Shchamet, or Shech. Gewaltig. Zogt Gemara, Nachamo, weiter. The boy Sema, the Chul Amal Lahu, Lahanit Tanoi, the Constitution. And up until now, we were working that both Brises held of the Constitution. Maybe you could say that both Brises don't hold of that Konasushah. And you don't even see the Konasushah here.
Means that even if a woman was Magdish, it won't work.
If there's no the Konasushah, Avada it would work. For carrots.
If it is, then it won't work.
What won't work?
If she was Magdish, her nechsemalei.
We're not focusing on that right now. We're focusing on if she knocks out the tooth of the Eved, will the Eved go free, right? So if she knock, if neither hold of the Konsusha, then any hold Kinyan Peres Lav Kinyan Aguf, then surely the woman is the Baal, and that's why it will explain why the woman who knocks out the tooth goes free.
If we do say it Konsusha, then it won't help.
If you say the Konsusha, then the husband has an ownership stake in it, and therefore neither one would have to free the Eved if they knock the Shev Ayin, unless you hold the Hektish Chametz V'Shikhr, the Tibidei Shivud, right? So Zok to Gemara Vayter, V'hacha B'Kinyan Perish K'Kinyan Guf Kamivli. maybe that's exactly what the Bryce is arguing about. Without the Kodesusha, whether you say Kinyan Perish Kikina Gufton, and you'll say that the Yochanan holds Kinyan Perish Kikina Guf, or the Brisa that says side the husband and side the wife doesn't free the Eved is because Kinyan Perish Kikina Guf, and neither one owns it completely. And the Brisa that says only the Isha will have to free the Eved if she knocks at the Shem V'ayin would be going according to Rish Lakish, who holds Kinyan Perish Lav Kikina. Zog to Gemara uber plug to the Hantanoi, and whether or not Kinyan Perish Kikina Guf will be totally in the Machloikis of a different set of tonight. The Tanya we learned, Hamoicher Avdoi La'acher. What if someone sells his Evet, but he retains the Evet for 30 days to do work for him? Upasak Imo, he made up with the purchaser, Almanashayim Mishenu Shaloishim Yoim, that the Evet will still work for the vendors, for the seller, another 30 days. Now, during that set of 30 days, what is the status of this Evet? So if you think about it, the seller would have a Kinyan Peiros because he already sold the Evet. He's just retaining the right to use the Evet, and the buyer has a Kinyan. So there's a three-way machlokes about the din yom yamayim. Now there's a halacha that if someone hurts, beats up an Evet Kanani, not his own Evet Kanani, someone else's Evet Kanani, it's like beating up any other Jew. And if he dies even a month later because of your beating, as a result of your beating, you're chayiv because of your tzech. The exception to that rule is your own Evet. If you beat up your own Evet and he dies from your beating, you're only chayiv misa if he dies within 24 hours. But if he does, or maybe 48 hours, but if he doesn't die within 48 hours, then you're potter. So that's a special kula of yoyim yomayim. So the question here is, what would be if during these 30 days, the original owner beat up the Evet? So Zok to Gemara, Meir Aimer Rishon Yeshnoi B'din Yoyim Yomayim. The person who has the Kinyan payers, the person who's using the Evet now, he will have the halacha of Yoyim Yomayim. You know why? Because right now the Evet is working for him. Kasavar, how would we understand Reb Meir? Kinyan payers Kinyan Guftam. It must be that Reb Meir holds Kinyan payers Kinyan Aguf. Okay. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer, Sheni Yeshnoi B'din Yoyim Yomayim. It's the second fellow, the purchaser, has a din of Yoyim Yomayim. We consider this Evet belonging to the purchaser, Mipnei Shuk Hasboi, because he technically owns it. He technically owns it. Okay, Chasavar he must hold that Kinyan Peiros Lav Kikina Guftami. The seller who has a Kinyan Peiros in it, that's not a Kinyan Aguf. Rabbi Yosy Aimer, he has a third shita. And he says, Shneyam Yeshnan B'din Yoyim Yomayim. It's actually a four-way machlokes. And Yosy says they both have the din Yoyim Yomayim. Zem Ipnei Shu Tachtov. The seller has a Kinyan Peiros. He has some level of Kinyan. That's enough to protect him with the din Yoyim Yomayim. Vizeh, and the buyer who has the Kinyan Haguf, Mipnei Shu Kaspoy, because it's his money as well. Now, why does he hold that they're both potter? Because misafkala, he has a suffix if kinyan appears ikikina guftami ilav. It's a suffix. So which means if the Evet died after Yoyim Yomayim, it's a suffix if either one gave the beating, it's a suffix if he's chayiv misa or not. Maybe he's considered the owner, maybe he's not. Therefore, the suffix nefashis lahak. So that Rabbi Yosy says that both of them have din Yoyim Yomayim, it's because we have to go l'chumra on the isser of ritzicha, which ultimately leads to a kula of sofik nefashos lahakil.
Is suffix on both sides or just for the?
Yeah, it's a suffix if kinyan perish kinyan guftami. So if kinyan perish kinyan guftami, then we say the seller is the owner. If you hold kinyan perish lav kinyan guftami, then the buyer is the owner.
Yeah, but it's not a suffix for the one who stole it. It's gospel. This is property.
I guess it is because could be if he doesn't have use of the Eved, he's not entitled to the release of Kinyan Kasper.
Yeah, I'm reading it. It's only a suffix on the one side.
We have machloikis, right? There's a multiple way machloikis. One beholds.
I'm saying according to Yosy, says
According to it's a suffix.
It's only a suffix on the one side, and the other one side is a vada.
So then,
That's the way that could be.
Is that what the article says?
No,
No,
not specifically.
it's mashma from the Rishonim that they're both the suffix, not only one's a suffix.
Yeah.
And Rabbi Eliezer Omer Shneim Einen B'din Yom Yamayim. Rabbi Eliezer is the Chiddush. Rabbi Eliezer, they both don't have the din of Yom Yamayim, meaning they both would vada be killed. So we're 100% sure that they're both not entitled. Why? Zel lefi she'enei tachtav. The second owner who owns it but now doesn't have use of it doesn't have a complete ownership, and you require a complete ownership to have the Torah of Yom Yamayim. And the seller doesn't have complete ownership either, even though he can use it, but he's missing the Kinyakasboy, and you need a full ownership in order to be able to part with Yom Yamayim. How does he know that? Of course, you need a pasuk for that. Omar Rava, my time with Rabbi Eliezer, Omar Kra, Ki Kasboyhu. The pasuk tells us, you know why you're potter? Achem Yom Yamayim Yamoid Lo Yukam Ki Kasboyhu. It's because it's his kesef. So therefore we learn Kasboy Hama Yuchad Loy. It has to be his individual property. If you only own part of it, and he owns part of it, that's not enough of an ownership to say that you have the Torah of Yom Yamayim.
If it's a Shnai Shitzvah, then both get Nehera.
It's an excellent shaila. An excellent shaila. And that's exactly what the Gemara is going to get into now. Keman Azla, so we've just illustrated shaila of Kinyan Perish, Kida Guftami, and that was the machlokes between the first two Tanoim, Rab Meir. That was the machlokes between the first two Tanoim, I'm sorry, which is Rab Yehuda and Rab Yosy. No, who was it? Rab Meir and Rab Yehuda. Rab Meir and Rab Yehuda. And Rab Yosy has a suffix, and Rab Eliezer has a third sheet. So so we found Tanoim who argue in whether or not Kinyan Perish Kinaguf, it would be Rab Meir and Rab Yehuda. Okay, so the Gemara got what it wanted. Now the Gemara is spreading out a little bit. Kamanaz lahad amar mem.
So free given about half a minute that the Kunzish should be stronger than the Hekdesh.
There was such a svara that the Tekal Susha would be stronger than the Hekdesh Chametz V'Shech. That's correct. Because Dr. Gemara. So Kamanaz lahad amar memar ish v'isha shemachru b'nichsim uluk. And the ish and the isha, neither of them own it. One has the Kinyan of Paris, which is the husband, and the one has the Kinyan Guf, which is the wife. And Rashi says, "Afilu machu shneim kechad." They both together sold the nichsim uluk. Now, if they both together sold the nichsim uluk, so whatever interest they have in it was now transferred to the third party. So it should be good. It's not a good sale at all. And Rashi explains, it doesn't belong to the woman to sell, and it doesn't belong to the man to sell. Combining forces doesn't help. And therefore, if one of the two died, either the husband or the wife, and they had sold it, the surviving spouse, can go and take it back. So now Rashi is asking Chaim Fierce Kasha. It's not comparable to Shutfin, that if two Shutfin sell something, it's sold fair and square. When you have a weird type of separation of ownership, one owns the Paris and one owns the Guf, that's not like Shutfis, where we each share ownership totally of the unit. It's not them l'shutfin the Alma, the Rashi, the Hasam, yesh lozeh chelik b'kuloi, lit el chatzi, v'chein lozeh. We each have an ownership in all of it to benefit from half of it. So therefore, we each have enough of an ownership to sell, and therefore we could sell it together. Aval hacha, when you're talking about the separation of how the asset is separated between the husband and the wife, one with the kinyan guf and one with the kinyan paris, aval hacha kula including law leguf, she completely owns the guf, but she has no shaykhs to the paris. V'chulan knuyin loy le paris, v'lekam yuchad loy lozeh v'loy lozeh. So now we thought it was a special chiddush, dafka legabe the yitzia, the Torah of the Chiyav Misa for Yom Yamayim. Now we're seeing it's a structural problem with your ownership. You don't have enough of an ownership that you could sell it. bichlal. That's the sort of a memar. So who would be the Tana that agrees with this halacha? The Gemara, come on, Rabbi Eliezer, it would be consistent with Rabbi Eliezer because he also says that the Eved belongs neither to the old person who has the kinyan guf, neither to the person who has the kinyan payers, and therefore no one goes free with Yom Yamayim. That's why they can't sell it because neither one has a full ownership on it. Zok Gemara man Tana lahad Tana Rabbanon mitzchetz Eved v'chetz ben chayin v'chein Eved shel shnei shutfin ein yotzin b'rashay avarim. An Eved of shnei shutfim does not go out with Rashay Avarim, Shein and Chayzrin. We're talking about Rashay Avarim that don't grow back. Omar Lei Rav Mordechai Rav Ashi, Hachi Amri Mishmei de Rava. This is what they said in the name of Rava, Rabbi Eliezer. Mi loy Omar Rabbi Eliezer Kasper Hamayuchad loy, Hachanami Avdoi Hamayuchad loy. Your Eved only goes free if it's Avdoi Hamayuchad loy. Now Chaim's going to ask, this is already a regular Eved Shel Shnei Shutfin where they do have a normal kinyan in it. It's not separated, one with a kinyan aguf, one with a kinyan mammon. So this is taking it a step further that the halacha of Eved is even more discriminating, that it has to be miyuchat to you in Gansen in order for you to have the Yitzia of Shein V'ai. According to the sheet of Rabbi Eliezer, that's right.
What a massive loophole.
It is a massive loophole, and there are those.
You just need to have a shutta. You could have it doesn't have to be 50-50. If you had a shutta for 1%.
That's what it sounds like.
This wouldn't apply. Yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
It sounds like there's a business.
You have a great way of avoiding Shen V'ayin, you mean?
This will be.
But the flip side is if you kill the guy, you're going to get killed.
Oh.
So it depends. Yeah, if you just knock out his tooth, you're going to be okay. But if you kill him, you're going to be in trouble.
Okay. Lakewood will figure out this will be a business in Lakewood.
How you can structure it that it should meet that guideline, but not that.
Exactly. It'll be a big business.
Gewaltig. Okay.
And Lakewood,
now there are
there's no avodim in Lakewood. You have to do it.
Not yet. I'm saying when Mashiach comes, Lakewood will figure out how to take advantage of this loophole.
So there is a discussion in the Rishonim is why is this attributed to Rabbi Eliezer? Maybe even Rabbi Meir could agree with this. But that is the discussion. Let's see the Gemara weiter. Now we're getting back into Hachoybel. Hatakea lechaveiri. So there's two pshatim. We learned this many times. Either someone scrumped in someone's ear, he blew into someone's ear that caused damage, or it means he hit him on his ear. So the halacha is the payment is sela. The pashas that we're learning is the seller's mishum boishes, as Rashi says, but there are those who say it's everything except for nezek. It's Tsar Ripoy Shevis HaBoishes, but Rashi clearly says it's purely for the boishes.
Maybe from here the English terminology, he took the blow.
Zok to Gemara, Rabbi Yehuda Aimer, Mishum Besh clearly, mana. It's a sela is much less than a mana, right? There's 4 shloim in a mana, right? So Rabbi Yosy clearly holds the payment is much greater. Such right? What if you slapped him across the face? Noishin loy masayim zuz. You have to give a sign, that's 2 mana. What if you slapped them the back of your hand, which is even more demeaning? You pay him 400 zuz of busha. What if you yanked his ear? Rashi says, mashach, you yanked his ear. Or talish b'sayrai, you ripped out his hair. Or rokak, you spit at him. V'yigi by roikai, and your spit actually hit him. Or haver talisa mimenu, you pulled off his jacket.
Lisa is mamish. It's close. It's real close.
Okay. Or para raisha isha b'shuk, you pulled off a woman's tichel in the shuk, and you uncovered her hair. That's also a big bizayin. Noisinly arba meyazuz. Sorry.
Outer garment.
Right.
Lisa.
Yeah.
Lisa usually is.
The noisinly arba meyazuz, because we're going to learn soon on Amud Beis. If you make someone naked, there's a little bit more expensive. You pay 4 abduzos. So let me ask you a question. What if you knock off a woman? What if you uncover a woman's hair who doesn't cover her hair? So a lady who normally doesn't cover her hair, she doesn't cover her hair, and she's walking now to the pump the hat. You take her hat off. Would there also be a chiyuv? So that's the next the next Mishnah's discussion. Zaklal hakoy lechvi chvoidoi. How much a person gets paid? It all depends on how important this guy is and what level of busha he'll suffer. So I guess the Mishnah that just listed off these rules, these monies, were based on typical. Rabbi Akiva.
This goes without a jacket.
Rabbi Akiva. Afilu anim shebe Yisrael. It's not a sliding scale. Even the poorest of Yidden, we treat everybody evenly. We had this Mishnah before. Rabbi Akiva is the ultimate optimist. Everybody is considered a shiny Yid. Why? Shehem b'nei Avram, Yitzchak v'Yaakov.
That he thinks that they're going to maybe for nothing.
He looks at them as
Assuming
they're
they
great.
were.
Okay.
Because
They might be.
Now we have a good story. Someone once ripped off a lady's tichel b'shuk. Bas lefnei Rabbi Akiva. She came to complain to Rabbi Akiva. V'chayvoi, he was mechayev, the perpetrator, litein lo arba meyas. Amar loy, so the perpetrator told Rabbi Akiva, Tein lizman, give me, I don't want to pay right now, give me a couple of days to pay. But not lizman, he said, okay, I'll give you a couple of days. Shamra, he became a private eye, and he was watching every move that this woman made. Oimedes al pesach hatzera. He waited for the opportune moment where he could expose her. And I don't mean expose her by taking off her hat, where he could expose who she really was. So he stood and waited until there was an opportune time where this woman was waiting by the opening of her chutzner, and right there, Vishiber es hakad b'faneh, and he broke a jug of oil in front of her, which is very valuable, so she would quickly want to bend down and retrieve that oil. Uboike iser shemen, it had an iser of shemen in it, which was an iser, it was the value of an iser, it's money. You know what she did? Giltas Roisha, she quickly took off her tichel on her own. She grabbed the oil and she put it into her hair, so her hair should absorb the oil. I'm not sure if like nowadays I don't know if women have oily hair, but she grabbed the oil and she put it onto her hair to absorb it. She would use her hair to absorb the oil. So this perpetrator brought Adam and said, look, I have to pay her 400. She's happy to do it on her own. And Rabbi Akiva. And he told Rabbi Akiva, this woman who's a prutza who anyway doesn't cover her hair. You're making me pay her 400 zuz for uncovering her hair? She doesn't care. Rabbi Akiva said, Loy Amrit Klum. Your taina is FS v'ayin. Why? Someone who hurts himself. You're not allowed to hurt yourself. Even though you're not allowed to hurt yourself, you don't have to pay yourself. But if someone was chayvul in you, they're chayv to pay. Or you're not allowed to cut down, because of maltashkis, you're not allowed to cut down saplings that you have growing. Even though you're not allowed to, putter. If you cut them down, you don't got to pay yourself. But acherim chayav. So you see, even though she will do it to herself, you still have to pay her. That's right. Now, this chayvul b'atma is a huge sugi, because it goes into the shaila as someone allowed to donate a kidney. That's the mamish being chayvul b'atma. So there, it's pasha to save the pashas. Your mamish saving somebody's life. But there was a ma'aser that went azoy. The Chashuki Chemed has his Ashayla. There was a guy who struggled financially. Someone needed his kidney, and he wanted to sell his kidney for $40,000. And they asked Rabbi Zilberstein, is he allowed to? Because that's a chayvul b'atma. He's definitely not doing it for the mitzvah. Can he do it? So first, Rabbi Yashiv said, this is not a good idea to allow such a thing, because imagine you start setting up a trend where people start selling the Evorim, that'll be a disaster. But Rabbi Yashiv said, I don't have a right to make the I'm not Chazal. I can't make the conus to outlaw selling kidneys because it could lead to. So I have no right to say. So Avada, it's mutter. Avada, it's mutter. He's allowed to do it. But there, the shaila is, even though it's helping someone save his life, but if he's charging for it, so he's like being chayvul himself to make money. So that's where they had such a shaila. So it's a very big shaila if you're allowed to be chayvul b'atma. Okay, I know that the Canadian government, just backtracked and the Chayvel Batzmai. They have a program called MAID, Medical Assistance in Dying. And the only treatment in Canada that you don't have to wait for hip replacement, you got to wait 6 months. But if you want medical assistance in dying, bam, you'll get it same day. They're very efficient.
Listen, you might die waiting for it. They have to
Application
make it fast.
medical. Because the guy says, if a guy says, I'm dying to have my hip replaced, die. If he says, I'm dying to die, they'll kill you right away.
They save money.
So just yesterday, they announced that there was so much disgust in the whole world against Canada because most of the veterans who are depressed, they were actually suggesting their doctors say, kill yourself. And they were killing people who were depressed. Canada was a murderous government. They were killing people that were depressed. So they just put a break on this law. They don't want to expand it. They're not letting people, someone who has in terrible pain and he has a terminal illness with no hope for recovery. They're still doing Ritzicha. That's still not right. But they were doing Ritzicha on people who had emotional issues, which is mamish murder. And they just stopped it. So that's also Chayil Bat. So Abu B'Shem Yosy Potter, Achem Shchav Boy Chayav, Makot Yosef Abu Pi Shem Yosy Potter Abu Achem Chayav. Okay, Zok the Gemara weiter. Iboyalu, Mana Tzuritnan or Mana Medina. We know that a Mana Tzuri is 8 times the value of a Mana Medina. So when the Mishnah prescribed this Mana, this Masayim, how much is it? Is it the lower value or the upper value? Tanan we learned. Tashma or Tanan. What did we learn? So Tashma, the who covered the Takal the Chavri. He was Tekeya in his friends here. Also, Rabbi Yehuda Amarlei. So Rabbi Yehuda said as follows: Ha no, there's me. Ha Rabbi Yosy Glili. We have Rabbi Yosy Glili, which we don't know. It's a cryptic thing. We don't know what this means. But Havlei Mana Tzuri. So he was Mechayev to give a Mana Tzuri. Shmamina Mana Tzuri Tnan Shmamina. Frankly, now what did he mean? What did Rabbi Yehuda mean when he said Ha no? Ha Rabbi Yosy Glili. Ilema Hachik Amarlei. If you're going to say this is what he meant to say. Ha no, the Chazisach. Rabbi Yehuda was saying, I saw you do this. So I'm an aid that you did this, that you were Taikeya Ba'ozno of Chaveirei. But Rabbi Yosy Galili, the Amar Manatsuri, and Rabbi Yosy Galili said it's a Manatsuri. So based on me seeing what you did, and Rabbi Yosy Galili paskening that the Chiyuv is to pay a Manatsuri, Zil Havlei Manatsuri. Frak the Gemara, this teaches you, remember the Eid Nasadayin. That means Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya, who was the aid, he was the one who witnessed it, he's also being the dying based on his own testimony. Vatani, we learned, Sanhedrin Sharo Echad Shaharik as a Nefesh. What if Sanhedrin saw someone killed? So they're the Eidim. So how do they paskin? So the halach is Miktsasan Nasu Eidim. Miktsasan will be Eidim, or Miktsasan Nasu Dayadim. So part of them will be Eidim, they won't be able to sit on the Bezdin, and the other part will become Dayadim. They're very Tarfin. So Rav Tarfin seems to say that it's Eined Nasadayim, because either you're aid or you're dying. Once they saw it, they're all disqualified from being dayanim. Being aid nasadayim. So it seems like nobody holds that aid nasadayim. And Rashi says one of the svaras why Rashi says aid nasadayim is very simple. If I'm the dayan, I'm the aid. I'm an aid yet yachalazima, because I'm not going to accept testimony about me that I was somewhere else. So by definition, it messes up the Eidos. The most that Reb Tarfon agreed to was El de Miktsasa Nasu Eidim or Miktsasa Nasu Dayan, but not the same people. Aval Eid Nasu Dayan, but the same person who's going to say the Eidos, he should be on the best of the Paskin, Loika Omar. He never agreed to such a thing. Yet Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya is saying, I'm the Eid and I'm the Dayan. Zok Gemara, Ki Tanya Hi, Kagoin Sharo Balayla, the Loyla Meva Dinin. If they would have seen the murder by day, they could have all been dayan, because they saw it and there's no haggadah this aid is required. Just them seeing it will let them pass it. Here the problem is they saw it at night. At night they cannot do a din Torah. They cannot have dinim at night. So now they're forced to push the din Torah till tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning the action didn't happen in front of them anymore. So now they actually require a haggadah. If they require a haggadah, that's where Rav Tarfon says that they can't be an aid and a die. But in our case, where Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya saw this by day, so he himself can paskin based on what he saw. I guess not. Or you could say, because it's not a Haggadah Seidus at all. They don't even need Haggadah. If they saw it themselves, we're not relying on Haggadah Zaytis. Or maybe Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya was saying something completely different. Ha'anah desvirli Rabbi Yosy Glili. Ha'anah Rabbi Yosy Glili means I also agree to Rabbi Yosy Glili that it's monatsuri. But how am I paskening? How am I condemning you to pay this? V'asahadi the mishadi bach. But there's Edim that are saying that you did this chavala zil havlei monatsuri, and that has nothing to do with Eid Nasadayin. Frank the Gemara, Rabbi Kiva Eid Nasadayin. Rabbi Kiva said before, Kulam Edameim Eid Nasadayin. Is that Rabbi Kiva's shita? But Tanya, we learned otherwise. It says vehika ishash re'eyu be'even or be'egroi. It says a person hit his friend with a stone or with a fist, and the halach is v'chayuv anoshim he ishash re'eyu be'even egroi v'lo yamos v'nafal mishka. So he didn't die from the blow, but he got sick, right? So that's talking about chavala. So Shimon Atemani Omer, Shimon Atemani says as follows: Atimni, ma egroif miyuchud shumasur leidu uleidim. Just like the egroif, the fist of the guy. When he comes to Bezdin as a defendant, Bezdin can assess this guy and see if he has the strength to have caused this type of damage. Now, maybe the guy was weakened from before, and just because the guy's sick, it has nothing to do with me. He was feeble before. Sorry?
Maybe his knuckles are bruised.
But the point is, they could make an assessment if the suffering, the damage that this victim suffered is actually due to his fist. Therefore, afkol shemasur leida ula edim, meaning that not only do the edim have to see the rock, see what caused the damage, Bezdin has to see it himself to make an independent assessment that this could have caused that. Prat lechashiyotza mitiyachas at edim. If the edim lost the rock that he hit him with, and they can't present it to Bezdin, there will be no payment because Bezdin is not able to assess whether or not this rock is capable. Amr Rabbi Kiva told Rabbi Shimon Atimni, that's absolutely not true. Bezdin hiko sheyoidin kama hiko. If you're going to say that Bezdin has to independently assess if his rock is strong enough, well, then maybe they have to see how hard he hit him. Maybe they have to see how many times he hit him. How hard it was, and what he hit him for, and where he hit him. Did he hit him on his thigh, which it wouldn't be as much damage, or in a place where it would cause more damage. Once you're saying Bezdin has to see everything themselves, they don't see everything. What if the perpetrator threw somebody off a roof, and that caused his chavala? The guy died. Are you going to tell me that Bezdin hoichon etzel bira? You can tell me Bezdin goes to the bira, or bira halechas etzel Bezdin, or that the bira comes to the Bezdin. In other words, neither of the two happen. Rather, the edim will give over that information. Or how about v'oid im nofla? What if the bira fell down after this happened, before they passed it? You're going to make them rebuild it so that the Bezdin can go assess if it's tall enough? Avada not. Just like the egroif, the edim could make the assessment that the blow was a blow that was going to hurt this person to this degree. Avkol shu mosel edim, and avada Bezdin doesn't have to see it themselves. If the edim never saw the evan, it was thrown in such a way where the edim never even saw the evan properly, that they couldn't assess it. There it's potter because their testimony is deficient. So therefore, Rabbi Kiva says avada, the Bezdin doesn't have to see the evan. Katanimios, but we still have a brayso that tells us something interesting. Amar Rabbi Kiva, v'chiba fnei Bezdin hiko sheyoidin kama hiko mashma ho koibef name. What if in fact Bezdin did witness the actual hit? Eid nasadayin. The aid would be able to be a dying, right? Because that's what Rabbi Kiva is suggesting. Did it happen in front of Bezdin? Mashma happened in front of Bezdin. It's a non-issue. So tomorrow avada, Rabbi Kiva himself holds it wouldn't work. L'dvar of Rabbi Shimon Atimni kamer like. V'leilo shvir like. Avada, he doesn't hold like that. He's just saying, according to you, Shimon Atimni, according to you, this should be good enough. But avada, he holds it wouldn't work anyway. Okay, I think we should stop here because we're already at 6:50, even though the next Gemara is simple. So we'll stop here.
What does he say is detached of the word siper nafshoy? What's a tzimich keneged liver? What's tzimich osvule? is this. Yeah, yeah.
It's something by his chest. I'm not sure. It's something by his chest that'll cause more
What does
damage.
it say in English?
Oh.
Supernatural.